Okay guys, so we are back continuing on these window frames, and the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to show you how this guy gets put into the frame. And obviously there's a bit of flex in this, so you can actually just pop that side in like so, and you can see here it ain't going to fit, but if you take it down, just bend this out slightly, you'll be able to get it into position, and that's where it lives like that. Next thing we've got is this little piece here. Now this one's a stainless steel one that I just decided to put in. That is going to stop the window from, keep the window locking. It has these little grooves here for each position of the lock, and that actually lives. You can see these 4 holes here, and you've got 4 holes in here, and that actually lives behind the back of this. So you actually have to slide it in like so, and yeah, obviously I had glued that felt in, but I had to actually rip this out because you got to put this in first. So that was a bit of a boo-boo, but anyway, you can see it just pops in like so, and that's where it lives like that, and all those holes light up. And in the kit, when you buy this little stay, they give you self-tappers, which are these little ones here, and they've got a nice little machine head, little slotted head on them, and so they'll just slot in like so. Okay, so I've put a couple of clamps on here, and we're just going to pre-drill through the felt like so, and we might just open up these stainless steel holes because they're not quite the right tolerance for these little machine screws here. They're a little bit too tight, and the threads are getting a bit damaged. So, okay, I'll pop a couple of these guys into their positions. So they need to be drilled out. Just a little tip if you're buying the Wolfberg West stainless steel ones, drill them out, because if you don't, you will strip the threads on the screws, and that won't be fun for anybody. So just a tolerance issue, I suppose. There we go. Okay, so that's that one piece done. What comes next? What comes next is the window. So what we have to do, we've got two glass windows, and yeah, these definitely got a bit of dust on them now, so probably need to. Now what I like to do is put the ones with the insignia on the right side. So this being a left door, we want the left glass. So the insignia on this one reads this way, and you want it to read from the outside of the bus, I would imagine. Armour Float Safety Glass A VW. This one's actually even got the logo, the VW logo on it, so that's pretty cool. But unfortunately it's got a pretty hell scratch in it there, but not much we can do about that. So that's going to go in this way, like so. And what we want to do on this guy is we want to put this stay, which is this one here, which I've actually painted white, and then it's got a gasket like that. Stretch the rubber a little bit. Let's push you back a bit, like that. Now what happens with this one is you've got this outer piece of rubber which is on the outside of the metal, and that goes to the outside of the bus. Okay, so that's going to sit in like that on the inside channel, and then the outer window will slide past the rubber. So what we have to do first is we need to drop the frame back out of this spot so that we can put the glass in, and the glass goes in. Okay, so we have the division bar in position, and what has to happen here is we put a little clip on, and the clip goes in that direction like so, and there's a little, I'm not sure if you can see there, but there's a little like sort of spade connectory kind of thing. So that runs inside like so, and then runs down that clip like so, and that's how that lives. And the idea is that stops people from prying open your window and stealing stuff, because it lives like that. So what it does is it goes inside that little groove there, and then you can push up. Once it gets pushed into position, it can't actually move because it's gripped into the felt. So that's the division bar done. So all we've got to do now is get this guy in position, like so. And this one's going to go on the other side because this is in the first run along there. And so we're going to pop him behind the back like that. And he's going to go into the second groove like so. Doesn't really matter where you put it, as long as it goes into the groove here once we push this into position. So then, that's where we get tricky now. I'm going to lift that up, pop him in like that, and we have to make sure that all these things line up. You need to go into the first one, which is like that. Might actually pay for me to do this. I'm just going to clip you into position. Here we go. And that is that. Now what we've got to do is put the bolts on the ends there. There's 2 bolts there, and there's 2 bolts in there. So they have to line up. So that's the next thing. And obviously we've got to take up the slack there and just push them in. The handle, which is this little guy here, we can pop him on once we've got the whole thing up on the door frame. So that can be done last. That's not a big problem. So I've got some screws here. Channel screw, lower channel screws. I'll pop those out, 1,000,001 little guys. And obviously there's a washer and it's a little tension washer. And now we have to find their little location here. Always a tricky thing. Definitely a fiddly job, this one. I might start with this end over here actually, because it's going to be easier. Yeah, there we go. Pays to have very fine, small fingers, which I don't have. I have sausage fingers. Okay, if you've got sausage fingers like me, this is a really good little tip, just so you can get the nut into position, like that. Okay, so we have these 2 bolts. I reckon it's one of the hardest jobs on this entire restoration, putting those 2 damn things in. Oh, 4. Anyway, so those are done. This thing's obviously now bolted into position. Next thing we've got is a rubber seal, which is going to go onto the bottom of the door. There's actually 2 here. And there'll be a left and right for that as well. This is the one we want, I think. We'll come over to the door of the bus. And yes, that would be correct. So that one actually slots in to there, like so. And they do have a bit of a rubber seal like lip on them, and obviously the holes have to all line up as well. And I reckon these things are going to be needing trimming. Yeah, they're not going to be a perfect fit, I don't think. Just looking at the way they're going in. One note to remember, just from my experience, when you're putting these sort of things in, you know, they're tough, and you're working them, but you're also stretching them. So you'll find all of a sudden you'll go over here and you'll go, oh, it doesn't line up, and it's because you've actually been stretching the material as you've been going, and it creeps an inch, you know, or 1/8 of an inch at a time, or whatever it is, and all of a sudden it's out of spec. So just be careful that try to work back on yourself, if that makes sense. So you're not stretching it out too much. You can see what I mean right there. Perfect example. See, it actually needs to come back to there. So then I'll come over this way and work it in the other direction, just to try to keep everything lined up. Yeah, you can imagine working in the VW factory. It must have been pretty hard work, you know, having these things on the production line, doing all this by hand, and they would have had obviously, you know, fast tricks to get things done quicker, but still, hard yakka. There's definitely no doubt about that. So that's all looking good so far. I'll just get this section here done. Okay, so we've got a little bit of trimming to do here, because obviously the door ain't gonna shut like so. I'll just grab this scissors here and give it a bit of a trim here. That's perfect there. Righto, so now, right, door frame. So we can actually pop this door frame into position, and they've got a bit of weight to them too. They're not, oh actually before we do that, I need to just bend these little tabs. So we're just going to wind that up a little bit more, so that doesn't wind off when you're opening and shutting your door. Okay, so we'll come around here, going to be nice and careful about this. That's it. Yeah, you don't want to go cockeyed, otherwise they just jam up and they don't want to go in. So we're getting there a little bit further. Imagine having this job on the production line, eh? Okay, Sven, you're on the doors. Would have been something like that anyway. And he would have just been like, no, not the doors again. Ah, okay, I can see what's going on. Just to going where it's not supposed to go, as you can see. Okay guys, so we've got the door all in, opens up. We've put the two bolts there, the two bolts, one in there, and the two on the corner here. So that's forced it all into position where it needs to go. Here's the little locking mechanism. And these guys are a little bit tricky. So you undo the screw. And there's a little spring washer there, don't lose that. And then the idea is, what we want to do here is we want to take off just one of the gaskets. That one goes on the window on the outside, and then everything else goes on the inside. And just make sure that the rubber goes on. Very difficult doing this with one hand, holding bits and pieces. There we go. That on there. Let's use this little guy here to gingerly. Now you just want to make sure that everything lines up before you do it up. Once that works, then it's all good. And then when you need to lift it out, you can just slide it to the next one and it locks into position like that. Now, this is quite tight, so it doesn't want to lift up. That's not a good way to have them with a lot of slop in them, otherwise people can just break into your car. You know, they can just lift up the latch. So this is actually pretty good. It's quite stiff still, but it works. Okay, so the next job now is putting this door seal in. I've just sprayed it with a little bit of silicone just to make it slippery, so that we can feed it through and around, because it is quite a strenuous job. So we'll open up the door, and we're going to start here in this corner, and I might even spray some silicone in that little crack, just using some of this stuff, and a little bit like that. And then we're going to start here, and all going well, this should feed in no problems. Normally it gets tougher on the corner here, as it's got to try to bend around. And what I've already just discovered, if you look inside there, you can see some junk still inside the rail. So I've got to just scoop that stuff out, otherwise she won't slide in. Might be able to just do that with a screwdriver. Reasonably smooth. Oh no, there's a little piece right there. Okay, let's see how we go. Aha, look at this. And that's the thing, you got to keep it clean in that rail, and then it will do its thing. And all I do is just do a little bit at a time, gather it from here over the corner, and then pull it down from there. Pull it up around the corner, and then take the rest of it down. Now it starts to get a bit tighter now because it's got to go down through a few more radiuses. Another curve there. Back here. Pull it around the corner, and then take up the... and slowly going. This is actually the easiest one I've done. I've had other ones that have been really quite difficult. And this one's going really well. And I would imagine this one you'll have to trim it as well, because I think they give you a little bit extra. There we go. And I'll just come on the inside of the door here. Because I like to bring this one out a bit further, and I might not even trim it. Let's see how we go. There we go. Got it all completed. I've put the rubber seal along the top down there, and everything's working good. Window's a little bit stiff, but that's just the felt. Needs to be sort of moved in a bit. And of course, opening and shutting the doors when you've got all these brand new rubbers, you have to slam them. Like, they don't, you know, I can just show you. I'm even with the other one. I've got the other one in as well now. You really need to give them a very firm shut. If you just go like this, you can see they won't shut. So you've got to give them a good, even that wasn't enough. There you go. And that'll just, over time, it'll get better as the rubber just gets a bit softer, and then it'll want to shut properly. So, but anyway, yeah, that's done. I've got new mirrors coming. The next thing will be the door cards, or all the interior trim, which is all the MDF. That's the sheeting I've got down there on the ground. And I have already cut a few pieces out. We'll get into that video pretty soon, how to do all that. But yeah, that's coming together quite nicely. Cool, guys. All right, I'm going to get out of this cold weather because we are freezing down here in Melbourne, Victoria. I'm going back inside. I have had enough. All right, cheers, guys. See you in the next one.